All right, guys. So next, now we will try to pass an object instead of this simple date number to our greet function. All right. So how do we pass that? Well, let me just first try to create a date object. Well, let date ob equal to new of date, by which we can create a date object and directly pass this date object as date. All right. Save it. Now you can see here, it's not very important that the name of the key and the variable should be same. It can be, and they can be different also. But now within my React component, I will be accessing it with date. So let's save it. And next thing, let me try to now access this date value. So now I know that this is a date object, and if we write date dot get date function, then it will display me today's date. In fact, I can also display one more thing, which is time equal to, and I can write date dot get time, which will show me the time stamp. So it will not give me the exact time, but the time stamp. Save it, and let us now see if we are able to show these values within our browser. And you can see it is working fine now. I'm able to get the timestamp. Okay, and if I reload it, the timestamp will change because it keeps on changing, and this is my date. So important thing to understand is that within these expressions, these curly braces, which we call them as expression, we can also call a function. All right, not only print a variable, but we can also call a function like we are doing here. Right? Good. So now we can see that we can even pass a date object. Next thing, let us try to see if we can pass a state variable directly. And for that, I'm going to now create a state variable, which is simple count. Count and set count. We know how we use state variable using use state. And we will also need to import use state. So let's import use state from React. And then next thing is we will initialize the value in the use state function to 0. And let's try to increase and decrease the count. So let me add buttons here. Increase. And add one more button to decrease the value. So I've created two functions. Now I'm going to write two arrow functions, because arrow function is more easier to write and is recommended approach. And here I'm going to write set count plus 1. And then next one is going to be decrease function with set count of count minus 1 to decrease the count. Now, what I want to do is I want to pass the count state variable to my greet function. And we can do that count equal to actual count variable. So we can see that the key and the value is the same, which is also acceptable. It doesn't matter. Only thing is, whatever the key is here, with the same key, we need to access in our component. So write the count here, and let's display the count in the top using S3 tag. Below the welcome. Count equal to. Save it. Now let us see if it is working. All right, we can see my application is able to display the count, but the interesting part is that if I try to increase the value in my parent component, which is the app, it will also display the updated value in my child component. So we can see that we can also pass a state variable from my app component to my greet component. And whenever I change the value, it is getting reflected. So this count you can see is passed here. And whenever we try to increase the value or decrease the value, it is also getting reflected. That is what is good. So if I'm trying to increase or decrease the value, the same effect is observed in the browser here, isn't it? So that is what is interesting. And let me just show you again. If I try to increase the value, the same value is also reflected within my child component. So we can even pass a state variable from a component to another component using props. Very simple, right? Good. So now we understand that we can do, we can pass objects, numbers, and regular strings. The last thing that remains is that we can also pass a function. So let me now try to create a function called greet. Alert greet. That's it. So the name is alert greet because it also gives an alert with the greeting. And I'm just going to write an alert, good evening. So what I'm doing here is that I am now directly going to pass this alert greet function to my greet component. Again, using the prop, I can do that. I can write alert greet equal to the name of the function in the curly brace because we are passing a variable. And in my greet component, just write alert greet where we destructure the function. Now to call the function, I can add to call the function, I need to add a button, right on click, equal to, and the function is alert greet. So we will call the alert greet function. And here, let's just quickly try to, see, just call the function, save it, and let's see if this functionality also works, where we are now passing a function directly to my component using a prop. See this alert, this alert greet is getting passed directly to my component. Okay, so right. So now let's try to verify if this functionality also works. Again, we will, open our browser, and I do see some error. What is the error? Okay. Saying something has gone wrong. Okay, I did not close the button. I did not close the button tag properly. And let's try to again see. And yes. So now again, I have a button here. Let me try to click on this button. You see the button here? Let me try to click on this button, alert greet, and okay, so I'm not getting the alert, which is interesting. All right, let me just check it again. Let me open in console if there is some error. So console, I don't see any error. Okay. Not a problem. We might have done some silly errors. So, oh yeah, silly errors. And an alert on alert greet. And we have passed the function here, alert greet. Okay, I believe I might have not saved this file. So that probably might be a silly error. Let me just try to do it again now. And click on alert greet, and it is working fine. Yes. So I just forgot to save the app.js file. And now you can see. So what I'm going to do is, let me just reduce the font a bit. And now we can see that, our functionality is working fine. If I click on the alert greet, my function that is executed is, which one? Is this function alert greet, and it is executed directly from my greet component. So as we see, React is very interesting because we can pass a lot of different types of variables, including a function and a state variable, to any component using a prop. And we use this functionality a lot in our React projects. So now, guys, look at this code, try to write this piece of code, and see if you are able to execute it and make it working. So next, guys, we will meet with another set of topic. And meanwhile, make sure that you write this piece of code and understand what I've tried to explain you here.